How's that going, guys? Mutemoya back again with another tutorial. And guys, first of all, I want to say thank you for the support you've been showing me, and because of that I'm giving you all these presets here for free. So if you're interested, just make sure you watch this video first. 1,000 views, of course you have all these presets. Just DM me for the presets. That's why it's just a way of saying thank you for everyone who has been watching my videos and subscribing to this channel. And in today's video, I'm not going to do the adjustments manually. I'll just use one of my presets to just color correct right here in Lightroom, and then we can go ahead and retouch this image in Photoshop. So I just come here and let me work with this, either the new studio preset or the new preset. I think the new preset will work for me. I have this and also have some outdoor presets, but I prefer using this. These two are working for me. I'll be using the new preset, and I can also use the new studio preset, but let's work with the new studio preset because you can see how it makes our image pop. Let me show you the before and after. As I said, I'm giving out these presets, so just watch this video. The first people to get me, if you check my channel and this video has 1,000 views, just DM me on Instagram and you get this preset. So you can see our image is very well color corrected, so I just right click and go ahead and edit in Photoshop 2024. Anyway, so guys, you can see we are right here in Photoshop, and the first thing we're going to do, we need to crop this image to the Instagram size. The Instagram size is 4x5 or 8x10, so I'll just go ahead and crop this to the Instagram size. So I think it's looking nice the way it's looking right now. So yeah, I'm just straighten it because I just want to make it look as nice as possible. Yeah, now that's perfect. Okay. Oh, perfect. The next thing, I'm going to just clean this background and remove this reflector right here with the patch tool. I use just three light setups, one with a yellow gel behind, another one with a blue gel behind, and I used a gray background. That's how you can see it's looking more of greenish because it's gray times blue, it's always green. And one light in front and one U-shaped reflector. That's a very simple light setup to just make your images stand out. So I'll just go ahead and pick my patch tool, and then let's draw this right here to remove these patches right here, because we just need the image to look as clean as possible. Control Z to undo. Control Z to undo. Perfect. Okay, now I like how my image is looking, but Control Z to undo. I like how my image is looking, but if you can see, we have some shadows in some parts of the model skin. So what we're going to do, I'll go ahead and run my dodge and burn action. If you don't know how to create a dodge and burn, you just go to new adjustment, then curves. When you push your curves up, that's dodge, and when you push your curves down, that's a burn. I have done so many tutorials on the same, so I'll just go ahead and run my micro dodge and burn, and then I'll open. And micro dodge and burn is mostly brightening the shadows and darkening the highlights, but for this one I just brighten some shadows because I like, if the background is dark, let's go ahead and just brighten the model to just make her look amazing. So because we also need a nice retouch, a nice skin flowing after we do frequency separation and dodge and burn. So I like how everything is looking, so let me show you the before and after. Now you can see we don't have so much shadows on the model skin, so I'll just close the micro dodge and burn group, and then go ahead, Control Shift Alt and T to create another merge layer, right? And then I'll Control J once, and then Ctrl J once again, and let's rename this to texture. And let's rename this to color. And then I'll disable the texture layer, then select the color layer, then go to filter, then blur, then Gaussian blur. So what I'm going to do, I need to make sure I get the perfect radius so that my image won't look so retouched and will still look amazing. So I'll use a radius of, let me zoom out because I need to make sure all the blemishes. Let's use the radius of 7 and then say okay, because the camera I'm using is very sharp and I prefer just perfect, making sure I have enough texture on the model skin, not flattening it all. So I go ahead and enable the texture layer and then go to image, then apply image. I'll come here and select color, change the blending mode to add, because remember our image is a 16-bit image. From my previous video I said when you edit your image direct from the camera to Photoshop, the image normally comes in 8-bit image, mostly if you're not using those high-end cameras. But if you convert your image through Lightroom and then now you edit in Photoshop, your image converts to 16-bit no matter which camera you're using. But that's why I prefer using same when you convert your image from Capture One. I've not used Capture One before and I've been getting a question about Capture One, and that's for another video. In the meantime, let's continue with frequency separation. So I'll change the blending mode to add and opacity 100, scale 2 and offset of 0, and I'll just go ahead and select invert right here. Make sure color channel is RGB because it has to be colored. RGB, when you convert to monochrome, that's black and white, trust me, you won't do frequency separation. That's something I've experienced before. Yeah, so I just go ahead and say okay. Let's change the blending mode here to linear light. Let's create a black and white layer on top right here. The reason we create the black and white layer on the invert check layer is because we need to see the shadows and the highlights perfectly, so that when blending you can blend them perfectly. And first thing, we're going to blend with the mixer brush, and then after that we can now perfect it with the lasso tool. So let's start with the mixer brush, and then any remaining blemish we always remove it after we are done with the frequency separation. So I'll zoom in my image. You can see I'm zoomed at 60, 66. Don't go all the way to 100 because trust me, you won't get enough retouch. So I'll just go ahead and disable the texture right here and then select on the color and make sure the black and white is still on. Let me just start blending. I don't want to fast forward this. You guys, if you want to retouch this image, go ahead and download. The link is on the description below and retouch with me. As long as don't post it on your Instagram, because these are clients' work, not models' work. So models' work I always allow you to post. So this client's work, as long as you won't post it on Instagram, you can always download it and go ahead and retouch and see what you can achieve. So the reason we disable the texture is because we want to blend the colors perfectly, because we want to make sure the image is looking amazing. So yeah, and if I can enable the texture layer and set, let me put all this in a group, the color and the texture group, and let's call this frequency separation. Right, so if we can disable the group, see before and after, you can see how much we're doing right now. So let's continue, and let's disable the texture layer and continue with the retouch. So the goal is to have a beautiful skin and enough texture on the model, because we don't want her to look more of plastic. And yeah, let's enable the texture mostly when retouching the other parts, because the only place I prefer disabling the texture is the face, because I want to make sure the image is looking perfect. I like how everything is looking right now. It's enough texture, just the remaining is just the blemishes, and that we can remove after we are done with the frequency separation. So the other parts of the model skin I really don't prefer disabling the texture, because if you're using mostly low aperture, sometimes you get the parts blurry. So even when you disable the texture, the parts will be even blurrier, and that's mostly when you're editing outdoor edge shots, or more low aperture edge shots, and trust me, they always look very, very beautiful. So yeah, so I'm trying to just retouch this as fast as possible, so that there's still a lot we need to do on this particular image. And as I said, I'm also giving a color grading action, which will maybe kickstart your color grading. Something I've been using of late, and these are things I'm working on to sell them on my website, which is still in the process of making. And for my first people to get this video to 1,000, and also for just my first 10,000 subscribers, trust me, I'll give you guys a lot, because you've been with me for a very long time. I know I've been doing this for some time now, and you guys have been with me for all that time. And trust me, anything which will help you grow your business, which will help you make your work easier, I'm here to help. That's why I do all these tutorials and everything. So get this video to 1,000 subscribers as fast as possible. Get all these actions, get some LUTs, get some presets, because presets are everything if you don't want to take so much time color grading. So guys, if you can see, we have this a nicely retouched image, but if you can see, you see our model has so much texture right here on this part of the face, which is making this place look slightly dark, but that one will perfect doing dodge and burn. But we aren't done with the frequency separation. So if I can disable this before and after, you can see how much the normal frequency separation has done to our image. So what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and pick my lasso tool and make sure the feathering is something like 20 to 24. For me, that's how it works. And then I'll just come right here and draw. For this time round, you have to enable the texture, because you have to see if the texturing is perfect. And sometimes it works perfectly if you use the value you are using and multiply it by 3. But for this one, I'll just go to feather and then blur, and then I'll go to filter, blur, then Gaussian blur, and then I'll push this until I see all the textures disappear. And let's say something like 20, 21, because that's the value we were using, or maybe 20.9, because it's almost the same. Okay, so let's see before and after. Yes, our image is coming out nicely. And trust me, if you're using sharp cameras, no matter the value you use or the aperture you use, your images will still look sharp. And there's something I've learned. Anyways, let's continue. You can see some parts like this. If you have noticed right here, I've reduced the Gaussian blur to something like 4, because we don't need to over blur some areas mostly close to the major parts of the model's face or of our normal face. So, and the goal is not to smoothen your image, the goal is to make your model flawless and a nice skin. So yep, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, perfect. And then I'll just come down here and just draw this area right here. Then go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Perfect. You can see on the forehead I use a very high, and the other parts, because the forehead has so much textures and we just needed to blur it out. And yep, let's try to draw this part of the models and try this before. Okay, now I like how it's looking. Let's draw this part. We need to smoothen this part slightly, make sure it doesn't touch the fabric or the outfit. So yep, and guys, hope you watched my previous video. I just gave you a few things you didn't know about me. Now since you know, you can always watch my videos, and I'm here for a very long time. I'll be doing this YouTube thing for a very long time. I'm not giving up anytime soon. So you can see what we have now before and after. The image is looking nice, and guys, trust me, I also didn't know this place was curled, and if I knew, I would have changed it when we were shooting. Sometimes I'm focused on how everything is looking, and sometimes I forget to look at the model, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay. It's a of course it's a very, if I was shooting for a commercial, trust me, that would be a very big issue, and we shouldn't have chosen this picture. But it's a tutorial. We're mostly focusing on the skin and everything, so, and the color. So let's continue. So you can see our image is looking nice. You can see before and after, but you can see there are those very big blemishes on the model's face and maybe some texture. So what I'll do, I'll just select the texture layer and then pick my clone stamp tool right here, and then zoom in your image, right? And then press press Alt to sample a clean area and paste it on the blemish you want to remove. So I'll just fast forward this because this mostly takes so much time. So I'll just fast forward this and see you immediately. I'm done with the blemish removal. And yes guys, you can see how our image is looking right now. You can see those blemishes are not there anymore. What we have is only the textures on the model's face. So the next thing I'm going to do, you can see there are so much textures on the face, and I sometimes tend to reduce textures because when the camera is so sharp you get so much textures, mostly when there is light hitting. You can see this right here, this area. But I like how the image is looking. I like how the model is looking. The image is looking amazing. So let's delete the black and white right here, and then Control Shift Alt and T, right, and then Control J once. Okay, so I'll just select filter and then camera raw filter. Say okay, and then if I zoom in slightly and come right here to texture and just reduce the textures slightly to maybe that level right there and say okay. Okay, so I'll create a layer mask right here and then pick my brush tool and then Control I to invert, because we need to hide and reveal with the white brush. And then let's put the flow to something like 50, because that's after the texture we had removed from our camera raw filter. And now let's reduce here to that level. And this, when you perfect, you see frequency separation is not all about smoothing your image to just look smooth. You just need to remain with as much texture as possible. The goal is to have a clean image with enough texture. So I like how the image is looking. Let me just zoom it out slightly. Perfect. This is looking nice. So the next thing I'm going to do dodge and burn. So I'll just Control Shift Alt and T to create another merge layer, and then go ahead and run my global dodge and burn action. So, and then I'll come right here and create a black and white on top right here, because we need to see the shadows and highlights perfectly. And then pick the dodge and let's start dodging some parts of the model skin where we need. Let's reduce the flow to something like 1%, because we don't want it to be too much. And also reduce the size of the brush to be mostly equal size to the same place, or to the same place you're trying to dodge. And the white places are the shadows, are the highlights, and the dark places are the shadows. Perfect. So come back here and pick your burn and reduce the size of the brush as much as possible, because to be specific size to the place where you're burning. And always remember to shoot raw if you want to get sharp images. Shoot raw, shoot raw, shoot raw. I'll also insist shoot raw. I'll always insist shoot raw. Shoot raw, shoot raw. Anyway, so I think I'm done with yeah, I like how the image is looking right now. Just pick my dodge and try to paint this part of the eye, because we're trying to remove the eye bags to just make the eyes bright and everything. So yep, yes, now that's looking nice. So I'll just zoom out slightly my image, and then I'll Control Shift Alt and T to create another merge layer, because now we need to do some color grading. And as I promised, I have this action right here for color, and it's something I just added the other day. So if I run the action, yes, you can see it makes a slight difference. But let's come right here and show you what is actually in the action. We have photo filter, which I normally don't want it. If so, you can always go ahead. That's why it's not alert, it's an action, and I'm giving it out. You can always go ahead and delete the photo filter. What we have right here is the contrast. This to just always make sure you press use legacy, because we want to make sure your image pops as much as possible. I prefer it as low as possible, right? And then if the next thing you have here is camera raw, and then with the camera raw, you can always work in the blacks. But you can see for the blacks for this one, I don't have anything. But let's say, for example, you just want your image to look slightly dramatic, you can push the blacks to -6, and maybe the yellows of the blacks to something like a -1. But for me, I never recommend that. But if you use that and combine it with some contrast right here, you push the contrast slightly to this side, trust me, you get a really nice image. And that's why I'm giving out this action. So let's reduce the opacity of the color grading right here. So before and after, before and after. Now after all that, I've already color graded, I'm okay with that, but I'll come back to that later. So after all that, the next thing I'm going to do, I need to now work on this gray background right here, because I don't like how it's looking. And the first thing, Control Shift Alt and E to create another merge layer, right? And then let me zoom in my image slightly, because I need to clean, because I think the model had some oil on her hand, so that's why when she touched here, you can see, because we did so many several images. And so I'll just go ahead and pick my mixer brush tool and just start brushing this side right here, because when you draw with the patch tool, trust me, you won't get anything interesting. And it's more of a prop, because this is not actually the background, this is like a prop, tone background as the prop. And yep, I've done a tutorial, I've done a photo shoot like this sometime, like this, like a 1-year anniversary, because I did this like yesterday last year. So yeah, I always like to remind myself if I can still do the same, and it always comes out even better. So yeah, so after you just go ahead and brush right here, because the goal is to have this foreground looking nice, or this prop looking nice. Right now, the next thing we're going to do, we need to select the prop alone, because I'll show you something we can do to the prop to make it look amazing. So Control J to create a copy, right? And then go ahead and pick your patch tool, and let's first of all remove these lines right here. You can see that black right here. So edit fill content aware right there to remove that black part right there, and then control and also draw to this reflector and edit fill content aware. Perfect. Now that's looking nice. So I'll just go ahead and select subject, and then yeah, let's just select subject, right? But remember, the only place we want to color grade, it's only this right here, this prop, this gray prop right here. We are not retouching the whole image, or we are not color grading the whole image or the background, which actually is gray, but with the gel right here, you can always see it's looking green. So I'll pick my selection tool, and then I'll just let me make sure we don't have any selection on the gray, right? You can see we only have selection now on our model. No. Let's remove it slightly. Okay, now you can see we only have selection on our model. But remember, we only need to work on this gray. So we need to push this selection to these edges right here. So let's push the selection. Sorry. You can see to reduce you have to use this minus, and to add you have to use this plus. And let's push it now to this area right there. You can see those corners. Those corners right there should have, and you don't have to be perfect with the selection. The goal is to just, now I've assumed this shape right here, and the model, that's the subject. And for me to select now the outer part, you can either come here and select inverse selection, right? You can see we have already selected, or Control Shift and I to inverse the selection, right? And then because we have only selected the background or the prop, come here and select selective color, and then select neutrals. The selective color always goes up. You can see we have this shape right here, because let me just press, I don't know, it's Control or Shift. No, let's press Alt to see the shape. Yeah, you can see we have this shape right here. This white part is what we are color grading. So yeah, now you get what I mean. So come right here and select neutrals, and neutrals always color grade anything to any color you want. And this also applies to gradient. Let's say for example I'm using gradient. Let me show you. Let's say for example I'm using gradient, and go ahead and select what is called gradient map. And if I go to the photographic toning, legacy gradient, go to for the photographic toning and select this blue. Let's select this blue right here, right? So what it does, if I press Alt and drag this up right here, you can see it's, let me just disable this. You can see it color grades this part only, but for me, I don't like, I just want to make it look neutral. I don't know if you understood. When you go to gradient, and maybe you can see these are selection. We didn't select this, the subject, and this the what we want to color grade. And you can always change the colors with gradient, but for this one, we don't want the gradient in it. We want to work with the neutrals. So go to selective color and select neutrals, and then push it this side like this, and push it this side like that. And then you can always push it to anywhere you want. You can see we almost having now the same color as the gradient had given us, because it's all about playing around with these tools, because Photoshop is easy if you understand it. And I've been doing Photoshop for over 4 years now, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that. So you can see before and after. Now if you can see, we have this very small misselection or miscalculation. Is it misselection? Yeah. So I'll just pick my brush and let's try to paint. It won't work, trust me, it won't work, but I'm sure it should work. Let's increase the flow to something like 100. It should work. Yeah, now that's looking nice. Yes. Now after all that, the next thing I'm going to do, I just need to add some light contrast on my image. So I just go ahead and run my light contrast action right here, and then Control I to invert, because we don't want it on the background, we want it on the skin, on the model skin. So I just go ahead and paint it right here, because we need to see the model glow even more. And the last step is eye and teeth whitening, because that's always the last step. And so I'll just go ahead and run my action, eye and teeth whitening action. So guys, just get me to 10,000 subscribers, and trust me, I'll give away so much. I'll be giving away money, giving away actions, giving away so many things. So get me there. So let's, right there, you can see how we're whitening the teeth, and the model has a really nice smile. So yeah, the image is looking, she's really photogenic. So before and after, I'll just go ahead and reduce the opacity right there. Yes, I like now everything how it's looking. Let's zoom out slightly, right? So and also someone you asked me about my interface, but if you want to work on this kind of interface that you don't need to always Control plus to zoom or Z word to zoom, you can always use this. It's called photographic it's got, when you go to workspace and set photography, you achieve this. We have so many workspaces in Photoshop, and for me I prefer using the photography one. That's why I can have this navigator right here. It helps me to zoom and everything. And if you can see our model skin, it has some warmth, so I just go ahead and select color balance slightly, and then let's just, you can see these yellows, when you push this your model will be more yellow, but when you push this will be more what is it called, let's say more bluish or warm, more cold. And because it looked more warm, so let's say they are perfect. That's okay. So I think with this the image is looking really nice. So let me show you the before and after. Let me put everything right here in a group because we have done so many layers. Let me just drag this up to show you how many layers we have done on this. You can see all this we have done on this image, but trust me, some of these layers are just merge layer. If I can remove all the merge layer, we haven't used so many layers. And so I just go ahead and put all this in a group, right? And if I can show you before, these are how the image looked before we did anything. Before we only had used the preset only, and these are how our image looked. And if I can just zoom it out slightly and show you now the after we have done retouching and all that, and color grading and all that, and this is what we have. Trust me, it's looking beautiful. Like before and after, before and after, before and after. And I like how the colors are blended in together, and trust me, it's making the image look amazing. You can always go ahead and do a lot of things on this image to just make your images look amazing. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial. As I said, always remember there are giveaways, and see you in the next video. Peace out.